Hello and welcome back to Aston Martin and F1 Manager 2022, and we're at Singapore now, but it's kind of a odd stream for me, this one / recording, because this video won't go live on YouTube until 11 days after I've recorded it, if my maths is correct. This should be coming out on the Friday of next week after I've recorded it, which should also be the day I'll be returning to streaming after my break. So do feel free to pop down to the Twitch link in the description below and give me a follow in anticipation of that. And also, streams upon my return will be a little less, one race per stream as well. I can probably double up here and there on an afternoon or an evening. And also, of course, if you haven't seen the last race where I got somewhat annoyed, that'll be in the description below as well, along with the entire playlist with all 16 races up till this point. So if you have just for some reason hopped on this episode and this episode now, then all 16 are available to you in the playlist below too. And of course, while you're down there, if you're not already, like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal, YouTube. YouTube works on algorithms, so there we go. But in terms of what we've got here for Aston Martin today, a new underfloor and a bit of scouting, which doesn't really matter. So we've just had our first facility dip down to what is apparently poor. I dread to think what the 2 and 1 bar are labelled as, if 3 bars is poor. But yeah, that's basically just the trigger to upgrade it instead. Might as well. It'll only take 6 days. In fact, it'll actually get done before the Grand Prix, hilariously. But the important part of that day's emails is this one, the new underfloor that we can pop on our car for these last 6 races. And it's 13 days and it takes 5 to manufacture 1, but it'll take 11 to do 2. Emergency 2, and just make 2 normally. There we are. That means we'll have 4 for the actual race. But there is the comparison. That way, that way. It's actually notable improvements to top speed in DRS and out of DRS. Medium speed and high speed dirty air coolering. Huge improvements, along with just coolering and good God. No improvements to cooling, but everything else. I mean, the acceleration gain isn't fantastic, but everything else, significant jumps. Worth noting, of course, this is on PC, so this is post-nerf as well, so this is pretty much the best upgrade we've ever done. I'm fascinated to know the performance average. So we're still below the average. We are better than average in low speed now. We're basically on the cusp of acceleration too. Wow, we're still miles off in high speed, which is hilarious. Despite that jump, we are now the 7th best car in low speed, which effectively makes us the 4th best team in low speed, because actually DRS is 18th, which implies there's one car in one team that's breaking the mold. Probably the team that also has the 20th best car has the 16th. And I won't be surprised if that's Williams. No, Williams have the 9th best acceleration somehow. I mean, that does explain why they've been getting better, is that high speed gain. So fascinatingly, McLaren are 16 and 17 in acceleration, which means that whoever's got the 20th best car also has one far higher. And it is actually Williams. They have the 20th best car with Albon in acceleration, but Latifi has the 9th. This does explain why Latifi's been much more comparative in recent races. And I've just realised our top speed's 13th. We're not awful there. But our cars are identical, so we will be 13-14 in that respect. Right, Pierre, what can you do with this car now? On a street circuit that is downforce focused in the first place. Kevin Magnussen has the lap record. We actually managed Q2 last time, by way of a bit of fortune. And of course, we're on a qualifying streak as well. If one of our drivers gets 15th or better, that's another 280 grand. But I feel like we can probably pop in the finish position streak, which we got last time, which was 840 grand for us. Let's see what Pierre can do. And Vettel, let's not forget him, but here's his protege, whose contract's up at the end of the year. Shogun Yu's contract's only 1 year in the game. I mean, when she told me about this chassis stock after last race, it just dawned on me we should have also been doing research. I'm just trying to remember the numbers. Is this based on our current numbers? Maybe developing new parts isn't actually the worst thing after all. Well, that suspension research will be done before the end of the next ATR period anyway, so that's all grand. Tour Centre improves, that's more weekly money. Right then, race weekend. 6 to 1 laps of the Marina Bay Circuit. But first, practice and qualifying.
We're here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit and the Singapore Grand Prix is just about to start. The name Singapore means City of Lions, and this weekend Formula One will be roaring into action. The bumpy street surfaces here make this a challenging circuit for the drivers, and the humidity causes them to lose as much as 3 kilos over the course of a race. But it's also tough on the cars, with 23 corners to tackle each and every lap. Good low-speed downforce will make all the difference here. So, without further ado, let's get started.
I mean, that's a lot of work for Frontier to do the Singapore skyline, so appreciate the effort done there, Frontier. And I'll actually say this now as well before we skip straight to qualifying on the video. Like I say, this is being recorded 11 days before it goes live. I'm fully expecting, or at the very least I would not be surprised if Frontier released a patch between then and now. So hopefully by the time I return to streaming, a couple of the more major issues may have been fixed or slightly fixed at the very least. Frontier, pretty good with patches. With other games, I've played the Planet games, and Sub in particular has a more regimented patch schedule, but they tend to be pretty good with developing those games. So I'm intrigued to see what they'll do with a sort of a yearly game like this in regards to patching. But Frontier are typically quite on it in that regard, so expect the things to be addressed. But anyway, I'll see you for qualifying. Well, that major part has provided me with major optimism. Vettel's still confusingly slow compared to Gasly, a full second slower than Gasly. But he also crashed in practice. Again, we don't have any spare chassis now, so I'm not fully certain what happens. Although, to be fair, if he had a chassis break during the race, then that's that anyway. If it happens in qualifying, I think I just have to pay for a new one. Like, alarmingly, it was consistent across all 3 sessions, by the way. Vettel's best time is a full second off Pierre's. But they also need to put the good car parts in. Let's find out what they can do in actual qualifying. I'm concerned about blockage, so I just want to send Pierre out straight away.
Yeah, loud and clear.
It's a longer track, so I'm not fully certain there's ever going to be an opportunity to have a perfectly clean lap without being incredibly lucky. But I feel like our best opportunity is typically if you just send cars out immediately. And they have got a clean track. The Ferraris and an Alpine came out, but they're not in the way, as we actually are on board with Sebastian Vettel. Pierre's ahead of him, but we'll give some love to Sebastian Vettel here in the hopes of maybe G'ing him up to do a lap that's somewhat closer to Gasly's on a track that does suit our cars in the first place. But as Vettel comes under the bridge through the final few corners, Gasly's ahead of him, of course, so we'll find out what Gasly's time is first. Gasly's across the line for a 1:37.7. Is that the differential? I mean, Vettel only half a second behind now, so that's not too bad either. The differential between practice and qualifying is incredible. It's almost 2.5 seconds faster. In fact, it's 3 seconds faster than his practice time. And we sent Gasly out to do effectively a qualifying run at the end of practice. Sorry, the first extra times have just come through, and what? 200ths off Ocon, and Leclerc is slower. Leclerc might have damage from crashing in practice, and it does look like he does. But the fact that Gasly's within a second of Sainz on a 1:37 lap is madness. So we're looking at about 3:20 for a release time. So many drivers were hindered. Russell, obviously. Norris, obviously. Bottas, probably. Perez, definitely. Latifi, probably still, along with Magnussen. Zhou's a probability too. Bottas, I can't be fully certain on, but I imagine that is somewhat. The AlphaTauris I have no idea about. Mick and Albon, I'm inclined to believe that might be their actual pace. And same with Danny Rick. But alarmingly, with 3 minutes 40 on the clock to go, we're 6th and 8th in Q1. This is either going to be crushing disappointment or elation, and I don't know which one. Importantly though, I don't really feel like I need to send anyone out first. But I will send Vettel out behind the McLaren. We'll wait for the other faster cars to come out first. There's the AlphaTauris. But I can still see a Red Bull and a Mercedes, at least, in the pits. Although I am concerned about George Russell, because he had a crash as well, but it wasn't a race-ending crash. It wasn't a terminal crash, I should say. Well, the Williamses came out quite early there, where they did, and not last, but they have. But Vettel and Gasly are opposite ends of the chain. What's Vettel doing? Let's have a quick nosy on his onboard. How close is he to Norris? So good news is Vettel's behind Norris, who should be faster. It's 1 minute 40 on the clock. I think everyone's going to go across the line, but even if somehow Gasly doesn't get across the line, it means both Haas's and one of the Alfa Romeos won't as well, because they're behind us. So it would effectively confirm Gasly getting through the Q2, even if somehow we didn't get across the line in time anyway. But Vettel's across the line to start his lap, and we'll see what he can do. With an almost clean track ahead of him, he's the one more at risk, but of course if someone crashes, then we're in a good spot to begin with. We'll go on the off-the-shoulder briefly through the streets. I don't use this camera angle much just because it's sort of sandwiched between the rear view and the floor view, which I never really use. But Vettel's on a faster first sector and a faster second sector, as is Gasly for his first. They are a full 40 seconds apart on the track. No one didn't make it across the line because it's literally just ended now. Wow, there was so much wiggle room for getting across the line there. It was almost like a third of a lap's worth of track for anyone to have slotted into there. But Vettel now going around the final couple of corners. I'm marginally concerned by his time here because it looks like he might be slower somehow. Okay, he is faster, but not by much, as a Ferrari makes a faster time. But more cars crossing the line now. We'll might as well go on board with Pierre for the remainder of his lap instead. But both AlphaTauris guaranteed behind. Both McLaren's guaranteed behind Gasly as well. Both Williams are out. So it's Mick, Zhou, and Magnussen. In fact, actually, Vettel's guaranteed through because Bottas has gone through behind him. For sure. Mick doesn't really improve. Magnussen gets out of the bottom 5, but that is it. Gasly finishes Q1 in 6th. I think I've broken the game. Our drivers across the line in 6th and 12th. They were 19th and 20th at Zandvoort, I think. They were 19th and 20th in one of the races recently. Pierre split the Mercedes with Alonso. I mean, that cannot be his actual pace for this race. Surely. Well, we're in uncharted territory here. The estimated cutoff time for Q3 is 1:37.7. Pierre did a 1:37.5. Vettel's. So our two drivers are just coming around to complete their first flying laps in Q2 on old tyres. They did have to negotiate Danny Rick, but it was on a straight. So I'm hoping these are going to be okay times. 1:37.5 from Gasly, which matches his Q1 time. And Vettel is a full second worse. But Vettel might be more caught out by Danny Rick as well. I'm actually going to send out Vettel first. Guarantee Vettel a completely clean track. Gasly might be able to get away with this. I see one of the Mercs coming, so I'm hoping Gasly gets either between the Mercs or behind the Mercs, because seemingly he's keeping pace with them. Well, we'll just sit on board as we watch the cars go by. He's behind a Ferrari, which is arguably even better. In fact, he might be last, but he definitely got across the line with no problems with 2 minutes 30 on the clock last time, because I saw roughly when he came out time-wise last time as well. So we are first and last across the line in this session as Vettel has just romped away from the McLarens. Similarly, the McLarens have just romped away from the first of the Red Bulls. I mean, I wanted to give Vettel a clean track here. I'm marginally concerned he's going to catch the end of this, and he pops in a 1. It's enough to get him to 10th for the time being. If there's an incident now, that would be perfect. Someone crash now. Right now. No, okay, we're good. No, it's okay. Danny Rick goes faster than Vettel. Norris doesn't go faster than Gasly. I can always just pull Gasly in. If by the time that Gasly crosses the line, or would cross the line, that's 3 guaranteed out already. Leclerc, irritatingly, might be the car directly in front of him. Oh, just let him cross the line. Let's see what he can do. He's definitely through, though. I think he did a slower lap, ironically. I don't know what it is with Pierre doing slower second laps. Pierre is in Q3. Sebastian Vettel still starts 13th. He did better than Zhou Guanyu and Kevin Magnussen, so props to him. And Danny Ricciardo's got a penalty of some description, so guaranteed will be behind him. So Vettel will start 12th. 12th. I like the fact it's giving me estimated pole time. Well, we're in uncharted territories as we send Pierre out in Q3. Right, so Pierre should get past Hamilton before he gets out of the pits here. He does. So Pierre, I think, has got a okay run. I'm concerned by the Alpine on the run ahead, but he might be all right. Nope, he got blocked by Alonso. I'm sorry. Pierre got blocked by Alonso on old tyres and still did a 1:37.9. He was only 4/10 slower than his Q2 lap. Were both Red Bulls hindered? Was Perez hindered on that lap at all? Because I don't know what's happened there. And Leclerc seems to have found his pace again. I thought his car was broken a bit, like it was in Miami. But we'll just make sure we're last across the line. I think that's everyone. I think he's enough off the back of this Alpine that it's not going to be a problem. But Pierre is a man on a mission in Singapore. We're on board and we might as well do basically the full flying lap with him. Through the first section on the straights. We'll flip on over so we can see his sector times. He's slower in his first sector, which isn't actually that concerning because he was held up somewhere in sector 2 or sector 3 by Alonso. But as he heads through the corners, which cause people so much problem in practice. Okay, we got through it across the bridge and around that corner, which was actually probably the big danger corner. Down the straight. Better sector 2. This was pretty much where he caught Alonso, I think. So anything from here onwards should be that marginally bit faster. Hamilton goes across the line, stays 4th. Alonso goes across the line, stays 7th. Verstappen goes from 10th to 1st. Now he's got a clean lap in. Perez up to 3rd. Leclerc 4th. Sainz 2nd. Norris stays 9th. Gasly. Where is he going to filter in? Oh, just 9th. That's a little bit disappointing because he was sort of running 6th or 7th. But we'll take 9th any day of the year. It's 10 places higher than he was 2 races ago. I mean, how's that for consistency? Q1, 137.57. Q2, 137.53, which annoyingly would have seen him 8th. And then Q3, 137.57. Others improved marginally session by session. Pierre just went, on the level, this is my pace.
The grid is packed and there's electricity in the air, but there's no surprises in that. It's race day.
Aston Martin performed well during the qualifying session.
Well?
There are a few clouds here tonight, but the sky remains mostly clear. Will it stay this way, or will the weather throw a spanner in the works?
Well, we've got some fascinating strategies that are sure to be applied today. But for now, all eyes shift to the starting line of the Singapore Grand Prix.
I feel like Karun's underestimated or understated our performance there. Aston Martin did well. We did unbelievable. Anyway, let's have a quick look at the expected strategies. One stop for everyone. Interesting there's no soft hard or even medium hard option there. Compound performance over average laps is pretty insignificant, actually. Also, I don't know why it says competitive performance 10 to 13 laps. We saw that the soft tyres last for 20 in practice pretty cleanly. So, I mean, looking at the average lap time, I'm inclined to do soft to hard because you'll be first in the pits and get the undercut. All right, let's have a look at the comparisons. Apparently, soft to hard is slower than soft to medium, which does make sense, but soft to medium won't. What is this? What is this strategy? As a standard strategy, what is this? I mean, I know the undercut's pretty good, but come on. I mean, that's even worse. They come in even earlier when they basically not even used their soft tyres. I mean, that's a 4 push. That's an aggressive push on both tyres with wiggle room to do 5 push, full on attack, wiggle room on both stints. Pierre doesn't have any 100% clean softs. I love the fact that you can pit on lap 5 and still get to the end on medium on hards. All right, so Pierre should be coming in 1 lap earlier than Seb on strategy D. So he's going to have to be a little bit more conservative on the hards, but he starts in 9th. Soft to hard, push on both stints. Away we go.
With the skies mostly clear, tonight's race shouldn't hold any unpleasant surprises. There we have Pierre Gasly. With a top 10 position on the grid, this race could really go either way for them. And for the second driver, it's Sebastian Vettel. They're starting in the bottom half of the grid today, so there's a lot of cars between them and the podium. Everything's been building to this. We're just moments away from the Singapore Grand Prix. It's lights out and away we go.
Mostly. Now it's away we go. Right, off the line, it appears that Vettel has folded in between the Alfa Romeos, stays in 12th, Gasly stayed 9th. I'll take that. Nothing gained, nothing lost. Danny Rick starts at the back, so that penalty was a full-on parts penalty. So that's McLaren's less likely to score points. Something happened to an Alfa Romeo there.
Here's the replay.
And something's happened to Alonso, Pierre Gasly. Around the outside, and then on the inside for that corner, takes the position. Looks like McLaren's had an issue off the line as well, because Ocon's got past that Mercedes. McLaren Mercedes every time I do it, but we'll pop it back in now. Everyone's got off the line seemingly okay. Gasly's up to 8th and Vettel got... Well, I don't know what happened with the Alfa Romeos because Bottas fell to 14th, so looks like he got squeezed out somewhere and both Vettel and Magnussen took him. There is a chance for something absolutely magical happening at Singapore. I really wish my engineers would stop praising failed overtakes. Sends the wrong message entirely. I've got concern there because it said Gasly was a second behind when he just evidently wasn't. That's more like it. Nice attempt, you'll get them next time. That's better. Meanwhile, Pierre's on the inside of Esteban Ocon heading towards the underpass. And has the position by the time he gets out of it. Gasly is 7th. It is higher than any Aston Martin has been at any point of the season, legitimately.
Looks like Aston Martin have just gained a race position.
Even when we had the rain race in Hungary, we never had a net position above 7th, I think. Might even be 8th was the peak then. The only other times we've ever been higher than 7th is when people have been out of order with pit stops. Someone spun at the back. It's Latifi probably, it's Albon. It's one of the Williams. It's not updated the deltas, so...
Sounds like a spin.
Albon spun on turn 2. He's got to go in again. Bless him. No, the yellow's behind, Pierre. The yellow's behind. Don't listen to the engineer. The yellow's behind. It's miles behind. I'm sorry. Pierre's having a look at Russell. Pierre's having a nosy at Russell here. I'm actually not going to waste any more ERS. We've got a good start. We don't really need to burn too much more. But we can still push the tyres for a lap or two because why the heck not? But we'll try and still keep a little bit of ERS. Words are hard. We'll still try and get a little bit of ERS in the bank for emergency purposes. Like, our car has just done what the Aston Martin's done in real life, where it's just come from nowhere and been a top 10 challenger.
DRS is enabled now.
DRS is enabled now. Vettel's on the back of Norris, who doesn't have it. Vettel with a chance, if he wanted to take it. It's not DRS on that straight, of course, because it's only just been enabled, but I've forgotten where the DRS positions are. Are there 3 in Singapore? Is it main straight here? And then on the post-bridge straight. There's definitely one here then. Is Vettel going to position himself to get a corner? No. Well, we've dropped Bottas in the process. Just stay on him, Vettel. Just stay on him. I don't know where your overtaking opportunities are from here on in, but I mean, what a magical race this could be to lead me into my break. Right, slap on overtake now, Vettel. Because I think this is a DRS straight, maybe. It is. Go for it, Seb. Go for it. And he's got Norris. He's got Norris well. 9/10 is already the gap. Pretty much. Magnussen got Bottas. We're not seeing the replay of that overtake for some reason. There it is.
Great play there. The Aston Martin.
I mean, excellent camera angle there. We can see everything. That's better. But he's miles clear by the time he gets to the end of it. And now he's hunting the Alpine. I got distracted by the Alphas appearing in the background. Just
Clearly loving
2 drivers in the top 10, and it's not even rained. Not even in Monza did we have this last time out. Probably should have if the tyres had behaved as they should, but... And Vettel's broken the 1 second on Norris. Sorry. Gasly's done the fastest lap. He's taken Russell at some point. I do need to bring him back, though, just because those tyres have got to last a lap 20-ish. I mean, it doesn't really matter if he has to come in a little early. It just means he pushes less on the hards, which will get to the end of the race.
Doing a good job.
I'm sorry. He's just taken Hamilton as well. Gasly, I mean,
So this was
we're
the
testing his water after the race for performance-enhancing drugs. What? Well, I know there's DRS there. Pierre is 5th and fastest lap. Now, the problem is I don't think he's got quite the pace to catch the Ferrari. What am I saying? Why am I even contemplating he might be fast enough to catch the Ferrari? Although he has closed the gap on him. Just try a lap. Just try a lap. Because if you start getting DRS off a Ferrari, then we banked a bit of ERS on Gasly at least. But meanwhile, Vettel has taken Alonso in the DRS zone. Well clear of Norris behind. Unfortunately, he's dropped off Ocon ahead. Gasly's within a second of the Ferraris. Gasly's within a second of the Ferraris, and he broke the DRS on Hamilton. What is this witchcraft? Unconventional line down the straight there, but I don't know if I need to keep Gasly on full 5 attack here. He comes in first, so if he has to come in 2 laps earlier than Vettel, then it's not a huge deal. Like, if he has to come in lap 19 and still a 20, fine, because he's taken this time. Well, this is utter madness. I think Hamilton's going to get back in DRS range at some point. I am so sorry, but what is happening? I think we attack with Vettel for a couple laps as well, just to maybe try and close the gap on Ocon. I mean, I'm just watching it in astonishment at this point. There seemed to be one section where Vettel took a huge chunk out of this Ocon Mercedes train. I'm trying to see if it repeats on the following lap. It didn't really repeat on the following lap, because if he's not going to catch them, then I'm going to come off push here. Although, might try to harvest. Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Vettel's harvesting. He's taken Alonso. Sorry, Alonso's taken Vettel back again, but Vettel was harvesting to a degree there. He'll get him back. It's not a big deal. In fact, it'll help his fuel as well being behind Alonso for a bit. But it's lap 13 and Gasly is still in the front 5. It's Hamilton, Ocon and Russell behind. Sadly, neither Alonso or Vettel can seem to catch up. Don't know what's going on there. It's 4 seconds back to Norris and then a further 5 back to Magnussen, who has both Alfa Romeos in tow with him. And then, well, where we used to being, Stroll, Mick, Tsunoda down the bottom with Danny Rick, who did get past the Williams at least. And it looks like Vettel got Alonso back again at last. Now with a little bit more ERS charge. We'll watch because we didn't see it. Is it in the same place as last time? I think it might actually be in the same place as last time. Yep. Round he goes. If these 4 pit, and it's not an if actually, they will pit before us. There goes Perez now. Leclerc's in now. I might need to push a bit actually here, because
Push now.
obviously I don't have the second on sights. Just deploy a little bit, get into Sainz's DRS, will you please?
Copy.
I mean, as much as I've been harvesting the last few laps, this is not helping. Sainz overtook Verstappen at some point on that lap as well, but we're back in DRS. Verstappen continues for another lap as well, so thanks for that DRS further, Seb. Max. And he's just on the fastest lap again. Pierre legitimately just had a sniff at overtaking Verstappen there. But I'm going to push him up to 5 for a bit, just so we can harvest fully for this entire lap. Because I suspect Verstappen's about to pit. Stroll and Tsunoda were the only 2 doing medium to soft. Sainz is doing soft to medium. Perez did soft to hard. Sainz pitted only 1 lap after Perez and did soft to medium rather than soft to hard. That's quite funny. I mean, Ferrariing it maybe. So Perez and Leclerc are still in DRS with each other. But they're all being held on by Magnussen. Although I think Magnussen might have just pitted. So Verstappen still hasn't pitted, which is good news for us. Still pushing our tyres and still harvesting. Vettel's still popping in 144.8. Although he did a 155 something there now. Just because he's been harvesting this entire lap. The Vettel just did a 155.4 when Leclerc's done a 145.9. So harvesting, he's still gone faster than Leclerc on that lap. Although slower than Alonso, who is technically his direct rival. But I think, frankly, he's at full ERS now, so we might as well just send him off normally for the next few laps. Unfortunately, Magnussen, Zhou, Ricciardo, etc. have now all pitted, so Sainz, etc. are clear. Right, I know out of order pit stops are a thing right now, but we're running 2nd and 3rd. We are 2nd and 3rd. Well, it said 29 seconds again on the pit stop for this. Verstappen's pitted. Please explain to me how Gasly has only harvested 43% in those 2 laps. Well, he's harvested a little bit, I guess, but I think he can push. He's only got 2 laps until I actually want to pit him. Gasly can push for longer on this soft stint, for sure. So can Seb. So Vettel doing a 144.9. Sainz doing a 144.9. Leclerc's gone faster, though. Perez has gone faster. Hamilton slower. Where's Fernando? 144.6. I mean, imagine if Vettel goes all out on these tyres. But Gasly did a 143.8. We'll see what his first regular lap without any help is. But we're running 1st and 2nd. And actually, kind of importantly, Sainz and Leclerc, no DRS on the car in front. So if the Red Bull is faster than the Ferraris, let's say, I can't believe I'm having this conversation, but if the Red Bull's faster than the Ferraris, then the Ferraris have lost the tow. I'll try and get Gasly in on the lap where his tyres would hit 45, because that's sort of where the drop-off properly comes. Gasly just did the fastest final sector without a tow. Gasly's just done a 143.4 without any DRS. I don't want to alarm people, but Gasly's going a full second faster than that entire front 4. Ignore, you've still got tyre use. Use it. Use it. Vettel's sort of going on pace with that front 4, but importantly, faster than the group that he was sort of chasing down. Gasly's about to lap the Williamses on lap 20. My, how the times have changed. I couldn't drop the Williams in Zandvoort, and Gasly's running up to lap them. In fact, it might be worthwhile pitting him before he does that. Okay, so I think this might be the lap to pit Gasly. His tyres are just on 51. He's on a 143.6. Perez is just on a 143.9. Nope, 144.5. We'll track Pierre's tyre life over the course of this lap, because I think... Oh, Sainz did a faster lap, but it looks like he had DRS on Verstappen, so that looks like that was a thing. Now Verstappen's out of that DRS. Vettel's going to lead the race temporarily. In fact, Vettel could lead the race for like 1 or 2 full laps here, because he's got that much more tyre life than Gasly. I think Gasly's actually good for 1 more lap after this. Probably just. Don't forget Sainz is on mediums as well. Verstappen's on mediums, the other 2 on hards. So Verstappen got back in DRS range. Do I deploy on the in-lap? I think I'd deploy on the in-lap. Genuinely wouldn't have been too many more laps before he caught the Williams. They're only about 4 seconds off being lapped here. So Pierre is in the box. Pierre is in the box. He had a 30-ish second interval on Sainz when he pitted. And the actual overall pit time, they said, was 29 seconds. Pierre could still come out in second because Vettel's not pitted yet. I mean, Pierre has comfortably come out. I don't know what that overall pit time marker is, but 29 seconds is evidently a lie. He has come out a full... It's clearly the second number on the pit stops that matters, because he's come out a full 5 seconds ahead of Vettel. Sorry, he's a full 5 seconds behind Vettel. He's a full 5 seconds ahead of Verstappen. Vettel and Verstappen, the VET and VER, get me every time. Especially now he's sandwiched between them. Someone has just spun. It's not caused a safety car or anything. It's just a spin. We'll watch it. Okay, so it's not quite what Russell did in practice, I don't think. This is into the tunnel. It's sort of what Russell did in practice, but he did it a turn later and didn't actually damage his car, seemingly. Great work from Mick. Kept that going. I'll see if he pits. No, he didn't pit. Didn't damage his car. I was going to say, if there was a safety car then Vettel pitting would have been magic. He'd have come out probably in the pack with Verstappen and Perez and Leclerc. I don't know what this witchcraft is. Now, Vettel will come out with Russell, I think, if we were to pit him now. He's about to cross the line. So Vettel's just crossed the line. Is this the time to pit Vettel? A couple of laps later? What's Vettel's times? 144 flats. I mean, Ocon, Hamilton, Russell doing about that, if not slightly worse. But I think he's going to get close to 45 at the end of this lap, so... And I just realised Sainz and Verstappen are doing that soft-medium strategy that didn't look like it was going to reach the end of the race without hitting 30% tyres. So Vettel managed to have one full... You know what? Actually, no. We'll let Vettel have one more lap and then we'll push him on the next one. Full deploy. Deploy from there, Vet. I genuinely don't know what's just happened. All right, so Vettel in the pit stop. Gasly takes over. Sainz is the fastest last sector. On go the hardest for Sebastian Vettel. So he's behind Leclerc. That was expected. Is he out ahead of Hamilton? We deployed him. Oh, he's in the fight. In fact, Ocon yielded to allow him to do that. And he's immediately attacking Lewis. It's Vettel versus Lewis for the first time in I don't know how many years. Well, actually, Hungary last year in real life, I suppose. He got close. I'm actually not going to make him attack at this point. I'm marginally concerned about Pierre's fuel situation. Actually, just stay on attack to complement that. Vettel on the tail of Hamilton, whose tyres are 10% worse. I mean, he cleared Alonso by about 5 seconds in the end. Only Stroll and Tsunoda haven't pitted yet, and they're in 11th and 12th. Norris and Ricciardo have pitted, and they are 12th and 17th. The good news, even better news, McLaren getting 0 points, it seems. Now, we'll just pay attention to the gap to leader as well with Verstappen and Sainz versus Gasly, because Gasly's on conserve. I'll ping Vettel on overtake, because I think he was behind by the DRS line there. He was. Now let's go full deploy for a little bit, Seb. Brake for 1 second. Make sure that second is definitely broken. Because there is a section where I think people catch up a little bit. I mean, was all the pain in Monza for this? Is this the redemption for Monza where we got absolutely mugged off? So Vettel's broken that toe. Verstappen hasn't closed in by much. They're only 4.5 now still, so they only lost half a second and, well, Pierre's recovered that. And now Vettel's done the fastest lap. Sebastian Vettel has done the fastest lap. We'll just allow him to pummel around for a little bit. Alright, so Pierre's got one full lap again. I honestly think Pierre can push a bit, but we'll leave him on just aggressive. I do think Sainz and Verstappen are having that thing where they do gain a little bit of time because they're DRSing each other and keep overtaking each other. They keep having that slingshot thing that we had in Baku and other places. Same with Ocon, Hamilton, etc. They're fractionally coming back in again. Vettel's fuel is just dive bombing, and I don't really know why. Can't really afford to him to conserve. I don't really know what to do with these lot. I'm struggling to keep both of our cars in good fuel, Nick, without then having to go down to conserve. I've managed to keep Ocon more than a second behind. Vettel's actually closing on the group ahead still. What? Well, I managed to keep Ocon behind. I was bringing Seb back up to a lap at least. I've got a feeling we're going to have to keep conserving every now and then. So I think Seb's going to fall back into that battle at some point, because he's just losing time on just regular push. I mean, I might just tip down his driving style and see if that does something. So obviously maybe aggressive lap times is making the fuel situation worse as well. And if he can get away with aggressive and still maintain the 1 second gap, then maybe that's going to help. I don't mind if he doesn't catch up to the top 5, because quite frankly, 6th would have been better. Just 6th by itself would have been a better result than any other race so far. Similarly, Gasly, who we've not really had a look at for a couple of laps, can probably just about see Carlos Sainz in his rearview mirror. There he is, as he too has had to just keep flicking behind. It's odd that Pierre has less fuel than Vettel, and yet Vettel's the one more in. Someone's locked up. It's Haas, but he's kept going. Is it Mick again?
Yeah.
Yep. It's the standard turn 13 crash where they just go straight on after the bridge, but it doesn't seem to have terminally damaged his car like he did for most in practice. Dude, Vettel's just straight under again. Just straight under. It's a thirsty track, it seems. I think it's inevitable that these two cars get pulled back into the fight behind, respectively. But at the very least, they're going to have much better tyres to be able to do that. This time Mick did take enough damage to be worthy of coming in. This is also a little bit of a test as well to see whether or not switching down the tyre usage is actually going to save fuel. Doesn't look like it. I think the only way we're going to save fuel is getting into a DRS train, ironically. And there they are. This isn't going to be just a straightforward victory. Not that I was expecting a victory at all. But we'll go on board with Gasly, who now has been joined by Sainz and Verstappen. But because he's had to conserve, and also Ocon's just taken Vettel. I mean, now he's got one car ahead of him. He might be able to save fuel. I'll grab that for the screenshot. There goes Sainz on the inside. Any nice images there? Oh, what a lovely shot that is with all three of them in there. Such high hopes. We're still second, Crofty. And he's getting him back. But I think just simply being in the fight will help the fuel. Because I imagine this is going to be traded positions back and forth. Watch that one as well. Because this one, well, at least we'll be focused on Pierre Gasly. The Williams is ahead. Oh, it's a bizarre but wonderful sight.
Excellent work.
Oof. Pierre Gasly. Yeah, pretty safe, Crofty. Pretty safe. We're halfway through this race, and we're about to lap the Williams, which I don't think we've done since Monaco, where they were apocalyptically slow. Latifi gets out of the way. Latifi, the man that Gasly has stuck to his back fender for the sort of the last third of the Zandvoort race 2 races ago. Right, Albon, somewhat holding us up here, sunshine. I mean, if you want the other seat next year, Alex, this isn't a good resume for you. Although that was such a weird place to let Pierre through in the end, because at least the two behind are now going to get through pretty cleanly, I imagine. I mean, Pierre is now 11, nearly 12 seconds ahead of 4th. I mean, the strategy to stay behind Ocon is working for the fuel. Blimey. Gasly's actually having a little bit of a problem again. I'm going to have to conserve with Gasly. I'm going to have to let Sainz through again. Sainz did the fastest lap at some point. In order to get Gasly to the end of this race, I need to get Sainz past him again. Or do some ridiculous conserve, not conserve magic. In fact, I think we've just dropped the Mercs with Ocon. We have. All right, Seb. Behind Ocon, Harvest. You seem to be more than good just to stick to his backside, so Harvest. I'm expecting Sainz to sweep past at some point here. There he is. Obviously, I can't afford to harvest with Gasly anymore, but I just need this to be a fight. I mean, Gasly immediately looking to overtake again. Although Verstappen's now on the inside. Oh, that's an awkward yield spot. I didn't want to be third. Although if you'd given me third beforehand, I'd snapped your hand off. I don't want to watch that again because it involved AI yielding, which is notoriously awful. But behind 2 cars, that fuel will just rocket up, I imagine. Like it is with Seb, up to 3 plus laps, apparently. It's at very least some banked with Seb. Can't really harvest while I'm the 3rd of 3, because I'm just worried that harvesting will drop me off entirely. I don't need to worry with Seb, I don't think, although 7/10 isn't pleasant. He's back again. But being in a DRS train, probably helpful there. Can't be far off Vettel having full charge now. He's actually still losing fuel, though, now he's not in the DRS full train. You sounded so sad about having full energy there. Yeah, this could be a problem because they're not actually getting that much fuel. I mean, don't get me wrong, still in the positive, but that's gone down on Seb's side. Now it's just one car. Oh, it's back up again now. I guess it depends how close to the car ahead you are.
Let's see what happened there.
And now he has full charge. Vettel's taken lock on. I can see the mugs fighting behind as well still. That's Mick Schumacher. But we're going to have to use Esteban for the remainder of this race just to stay in the positive, I think. Because we're going to have to keep dropping behind him from time to time. Let's not also forget that Verstappen and Sainz are on medium tyres at this stage of the race. And 10% worse medium tyres. That differential is only going to grow as this race continues. Mick went on softs when he crashed. That seems a baffling choice. The gap to Perez now 14. Leclerc 22 seconds behind Gasly. We've always got a pit stop on 5th. We've definitely got a pit stop on 6th. As Ocon's fallen off the back of Vettel quite dramatically, actually. I don't know if Ocon's had an off here because there's not been that many laps. And now he's backed off to the point where he's in well, he's now got Hamilton for company instead. So I'm going to have to do some fuel saving with Seb for sure. At some point. I just want to see if Gasly can at all harvest whilst in this train. There's been another lockup somewhere. I think it's Leclerc.
There's Leclerc.
Leclerc has crashed. In exactly the same spot he did in practice.
Have been expecting that.
But I think he's continued this time and just attempting to try and harvest with Gasly here. Just to see, I'm on full push with him, but now harvesting as well. Leclerc's pitted. Obviously, that would have been front wing damage. And Gasly's actually now able to harvest, it seems, and stay in the DRS. Leclerc is pitted. Vettel's up to 5th. As things stand, we get 25 points. This is madness. I mean, I'm still expecting something to happen here. You know, Vettel's been a little accident prone of late. Yeah, so Gasly's still not been dropped and he's harvested for a full lap here. I'm just marginally concerned that gap's grown to a point where you might find it a little bit harder to stay in range. But it's certainly some harvested and done that. And he can get closer to their backside to maybe save a bit of fuel in the process. Just happy to let these two fight ahead. Whilst Gasly maintains his tyres. As they swap places once again. Although I think he might have to push just to say, oh no, it was just being lied to with the intervals. And the good news is, now they're sort of in the proper three-way fight here. Oh, there's been a crash and it's brought my attention back. It is a safety car. They have not gone in the pits. I don't think Vettel can pit. I think Gasly's actually just missed the pit entry anyway. It's right there on the left-hand side. It was Russell on turn 10. With two cars slipstreaming, he just goes straight on. And yeah, that looks like it. That's an out. That's a safety car. He's parked in the track. And actually, Alonso looked like he maybe crashed into him.
They'll be questioning.
Oh, it's a red flag. I mean, that changes things.
Red flag.
Before the red flag actually properly initiates, find out if we can do softs to the end. We can do softs to the end. I mean, we can hard push softs to the end. Just checking Seb as well. You've got a stint of softs that you can do. Yep, Seb's got a pair of softs he can take to the end as well. So he's bounced off there. I mean, has he actually taken Alonso out with him?
And that's an off.
Because Alonso appears at the very end of the highlight. It looks like he does crash into him, but chance of rain after the restart. Just somewhat ruin my plans overall, this. But we'll take their best remaining softs and put them on.
To get this race
And
underway,
everyone else
again.
has. I thought they might. Also, turns out you don't actually get the option of doing this immediately in the pit stop, so use everything. Pierre Gasly taking the line he used earlier on in the race against, I can't remember who it was,
This is good. Come on.
against Verstappen off the line in those first corners. I kind of hate the fact this has happened because it's very much given AlphaTauri a little bit of a boost as well because they haven't pitted yet.
Great play there. They've moved up a place.
We'll rewatch that
Let's
overtake
take a
actually.
closer look.
So on the outside of Verstappen, I swear he did this to Alonso on the first lap. I hate the fact it's brought Perez back into play in particular. But it's allowed Sebastian to catch up to Perez at the same time. It's mad that we're up here though, but this track does suit us. This track suits our strengths. You definitely don't see the flaws of our car in this. Well, yeah, we definitely need to make the most of this.
This is good. Come on.
I don't think we can stay deployed for the full lap with Pierre. We can with a little longer with Vettel.
Verstappen.
Max is locked up, I think. Coming out of the bridge, Max is just locked up and gone straight into the back of Pierre. There's questions asked about that now, Crofty. Why are we seeing sad faces from Red Bull? I think it's immediately red flagged again. No? Okay. Verstappen continued. Not that it matters because he's miles down, but Vettel's now third at least. Verstappen would be able to pit and get on the back of this queue, I imagine. Unless they decide to come in straight away on the basis that we got the majority already queued up. And because we're at the front of it, we actually get to harvest on this. But no, Verstappen will actually get on the back of this queue. I mean, I don't really mind Verstappen being in or not because obviously, whilst we're fighting them in this race, they're not a title rival. We're not in the title fight. Nearly fully harvested as well. Plenty of fuel in the bank. Plenty of tyres in the bank. Okay, so Albon, Latifi and Mick are still listed as being one lap down. Which is interesting. I'll turn up the tyres and the fuel now. I'll turn up the ERS the second we actually start going. 2 laps with no DRS is going to be superb as well, but there would have been 2 laps without DRS after the red flag as well. So all our hopes now lie on Vettel, because Pierre, through no fault of his own, has been punted out by Max. Not best pleased with you, Max Verstappen, now, because I don't think Vettel's faster than these cars. I mean, I'll take 15 points any day of the week, but in fact 15 points takes us ahead of McLaren just by itself, although Norris is 7th, so never mind. Leclerc, get Norris, will you? In fact, Vettel would need to be first to stay ahead of McLaren as things stand. I say stay ahead. To get ahead of McLaren right now, we would have to be first, because Norris is getting a further 6 points. The good news is we've dropped Ocon well before DRS is a thing, and now we've got obviously a boat ton of extra fuel, and we're in a train. Seb, at least get Perez, will you? I'm concerned that Perez will fall out of DRS. I was going to say, what happened to Leclerc? But Leclerc had a moment of his own, didn't he? Just shortly before Russell crashed and had to pit. That's why he's behind. Ooh, Seb had a look at...
So we're happy to let these guys cool a bit.
I'm not. Push! Just realised I was looking to leader. Ocon is just outside DRS now. Cars have crashed again.
See what happened
It's
there.
all kicking off now,
Let's
isn't
have a
it?
look. It's Lance Stroll.
Unsurprisingly. But is it the Alfa Romeo into the back of him? It is. Lance Stroll and his replacement have both been taken out in exactly the same way.
Disappointed with that.
AlphaTauri had benefited from the original red flag. I don't think there's any reason to pit, quite frankly.
Car in the wall.
Conserve everything again. Verstappen's only 3 places from getting a point again. Come on, Vettel. Putting all my hopes on you now, sunshine. There's 2 McLarens in the points now. This isn't good news. They've got 6 and 2, so they're getting 8 points here. We're still going to gain on them as things stand. Deploy, Seb. Deploy. Don't go overtake, just full deploy.
You can use it.
Come on, Seb. Flying to the front as you should be. I may not be able to afford you next year, but this is where you should be. Get Sergio. Get him. You used to drive in that car, Sebastian, although technically you drove in Max's, I suppose, but as the number 1 driver, come on, Sebastian. Looking, having a bit more of a look that time, but still nothing going. We'll go on board, I think. Okay, through that corner fine this time. Anyone behind? Please don't crash. Well, at the very least, wait till we get past Sergio Perez here, hopefully. I mean, a third is still mad. Come on, Vettel. 8 laps to go. 7 laps to go. We've dropped Ocon before DRS is activated, which is always good news. But come on, Seb. You can do it. I believe in you. You may be the worst of our 2 drivers right now, annoyingly. I mean, honestly, it's a miracle we're third. I don't know how this has happened. I think it's a combination of upgrades and just a track that very much suits our car compared to others. We are the 4th best car in low speed, and this is a low speed track. Slap this exact same car again on Monza last time out, and it won't do anywhere near as well. Perez is in danger. Actually, if Perez gets dropped here, that wouldn't be awful. I mean, by science, not by Red Bull. Now, DRS has brought him back into that. I'll just see if I can harvest with Seb for a couple of laps here. I mean, it's a bigger challenge for Seb to harvest in this situation than it would have been Gasly, I think, just because Seb's a little bit slower overall. The good news is the DRS comes at opportune moments. If I start harvesting at the end of DRS straights, that probably gives him the best chance. Problem is, Perez isn't making a move either. Right, so we're just coming around for 2 laps to go, and we've got 1.5 laps worth of deploy, I think. We let Perez have a try here, I think. And that's not happened. How good are their soft tyres, out of curiosity? What kind of tyres do they put on? They're better than ours, actually, just because we've yanked ours to the max over these last couple of laps, but last dozen laps. Oh, you're kidding me. I've just saved on my ERS. This better not be a safety car. Just Bottas running wide, and he seems to be okay for the most part. In fact, I don't think he lost a place. He's still 10th. Okay, so we're very close to, I think, to be able to deploy with Seb. Can't remember the next DRS is. I think it's the next straight after this. I get the fear every time we go across the bridge now, because that's been the danger spot for everyone. But the problem with the fact is that, once again, it's kind of showing that once there's a 3-car train, it's very difficult to overtake, especially on Singapore, of course. But as we enter the final lap, Sebastian Vettel is still 3rd, Norris and Ricciardo are still 7th and 9th. Leclerc, what are you doing, sunshine? Bottas, Verstappen,
This is last lap.
if any of you would like to nick points off McLaren, I forgive you, Verstappen, if you're the one that nick points back off the McLarens. Oh, of course, if Seb gets more here. Sebastian, what are we doing, Sebastian? Why are you driving that line? He's come and closed it off. On the outside? It's not a place to overtake, seemingly. Where's your next place where you can line up an attack, Seb? If you can line up an attack. A little nosy there. Nothing going, of course. It looks like he's all over the place. It's just because he's trying to find lines to attack on. Verstappen got Bottas. Max, get Danny. You've got another DRS straight if you want to do it. He's got Danny. Okay, there's one less point for McLaren. That's good news. He's going back again, oddly. Oh, gone on full deploy there. Perez has just got sights, remarkably. Seb, where are you line? I say he's got him. They're going neck and neck through this sector, which is not good for Seb because he can't get past either of them, of course. Because they're side by side, there's no room for him to make a line of attack. Verstappen did get Danny Rick, at least. Anything going on the line? Nah, he's too far behind. Oh, hang on. No, line's too soon. Perez does nick signs at the end. That's funny. We'll absolutely take 3rd, though.
So that is checkered flag.
Nice one.
Brilliant,
I was
brilliant.
going to say, why did
That's
Crony
gotta
sound
pick
so
up on the
sad
way.
initially there? I like the fact he gave me the competitor one, even though I was literally half a tenth behind him, half a second behind him. Like, I don't need to watch Perez win. I was there, and I wasn't lapped this time to be able to do that. I mean, what a wild race. And what could have been if Gasly had been the one in that fight?
Sebastian Vettel sure knows how to show Formula One fans a good time. Great work.
I mean, he would have been 5th, Crofty, if it hadn't been for Max. No, you weren't first, Seb. Why are you doing the one finger thing? Sebastian Vettel with a podium. Also, they handed those out the wrong way round, I think.
Multiple world champion clearly isn't done yet, as once again he triumphs with yet another podium.
Well, at the very least, he gets one more of these before he rides off into the sunset, because we can't afford him.
And after all that hard work, surely it's time for them to enjoy this moment.
What a podium, though.
Today, the race wrapped up is ranked in 9th in the constructor standing.
Oh, Crofty, let us have it.
We'll see us head east as F1 prepares for the Japanese Grand Prix. We'll see you at Suzuka, a firm favourite.
Unless it's on F1 22. That's one of my least favourite tracks on the actual regular game. That makes me sad. Our original driver, our current driver, maybe our long-term goal driver, all out of that race. Danny Rick actually goes up 10 places because of all the incidents. Yeah, so McLaren still gets 7 points, but we get 15. Oh my god. Sergio Perez nicked the fastest lap by 1,000th off Sorry, Seb's fastest lap was 1,000th slower than the actual fastest lap. Seb! I'd understand Pierre. And those points see Seb go all the way to 13th. Pierre, sadly, still stuck 10th, although he would have been 10th regardless, because Fernando's a good, solid 36 points ahead. Leaving the AlphaTauris, well, Lance and Yuki. Danny Rick, Mick, a bit in the dust, and leapfrogs Zhou Guanyu as well. And importantly, we closed the gap to just 6 points. I'm sorry, but this has just made this so much more interesting as well for Williams, but it's now only 9 points between Haas in 6th and ourselves in 9th. I'd written off Haas and AlphaTauri from our fight, but good points for both teams has made this very interesting indeed. I mean, Pierre still gets 493 points. It's a shame he gets disappointing listed on his resume there, but because he obviously got 100 points from quali, that's nice. And even Seb gets 447 points, all things considered. We do lose 1.4 million because of that, though. It wasn't even a top 10, it was a top 3. Yes, I'm kind of aware that Seb's contract runs out at the end of the season, but he won't sign one with a reasonable bonus position. Oh no! Not only did Max take Gasly out of the race, he broke his gearbox in the process. There's still one vaguely decent one, but we're going to need another one. I'm trying to see if there is anything above delighted. No. Delighted is as high as it goes. Well, obviously no more further car parts for the remainder of the season, just research for next year's car, but, and alarmingly, good race for us. Now, that is the last downforce circuit of the year. Sebastian Vettel was 1,000th of a second from taking the lap record there in-game. But the remaining 5 circuits are all balanced circuits. Japan, US, Mexico, Brazil, and Abu Dhabi, of course, to close the season off. But it does give me renewed hope that we can, at the very least, get the points we need to get 8th. Maybe even 6th. Looks like it might be a wet race at Suzuka, which brings the course actually closer again back to us because it makes the course slower. But that'll be next time out. And, more importantly, as this goes live on YouTube, it will be the race I'll probably be doing, if I'm ready in time, on the day this goes live. So, probably later in that day, check my Twitter, the link's down below as well, to see when exactly I'll be doing that. It'll either be in the afternoon or the evening, but it will probably be happening on that day. So, thank you for joining me. Until next time, what has just happened? Ta-ra!